What's up, everybody? Mike here, and in this Baldur's Gate 3 build guide video, I'll be going over my Infernal Daredevil Warlock build. This is a level 9 late game build. It's an evolution of the Pyro Warlock builds I've done previously, the level 3 version as well as level 6. If you've not checked out either of those videos, please do so right now, or at least ASAP before watching this video in full, so you have a better understanding of how this build works and what I start off with. All right, so let's begin here. So level 7, you get more health. You also get a new spell choice. Since this is still a Pyro Warlock themed build, we're still going to focus mostly on, essentially fire spells. So you have options here. You can go wall fire or pick up fire shield, for example. But I decided to go wall fire. Very useful. As far as your Eldritch invocations, so we've already got Agonizing Blast, Repelling Blast, Devil's Sight. So it then depends, what you feel will be a next best option here to go with to add to this build to enhance it. Book of Ancient Secrets is a good option if you want to gain Ray of Sickness, Chronic Orb, and Sound spells. You can cast these spells once per long rest. They don't expend any spell slots when cast. Very useful, so that way you're not using the extra spell slots, because Warlocks typically only get 2 spell slots to use at this stage of the game. If you want to increase, your ability to be really good at dialogue, you can always go for Beguiling Influence, which, you gain proficiency in Deception and Persuasion, if you're not already proficient in those. A third good option here is Mask of Many Faces. You can cast Disguise Self at will without expending a spell slot. Very useful if you are trying to maybe steal stuff without being caught, or do other, things without necessarily being caught, and keep your reputation intact. For me personally, though, I decided to go Book of Ancient Secrets. At level 8, you want to gain a spell, get a feat as well too, health increase. So for this one, I would say pick up Fire Shield if you didn't already. It'd be a good one to pick up to kind of keep with the theme of the Pyro, even though it does cold as well too. But wreath your body in flames that shed light in a 3-meter radius, provide resistance to fire and or cold damage, and retaliate against melee attacks. With the feat, I suggest going to Elemental Adept, and since it's a fire-focused build, go Elemental Adept Fire, so that your spells ignore resistance to damage, to a damage type of your choice. When you cast spells of the type, you cannot roll a 1. It's going to help you essentially do more damage and give resistance to fire. Then, at Warlock level 9, get more HP, of course. You gain a spell, and you gain another Eldritch Invocation. When it comes to spells here, I really like this. Flame Strike, do 10 to 60 damage. 10 to 60 damage. Fire and radiant damage as well. Make a pillar of divine fire roar down from the heavens like the wrath of affronted angels. So I feel like it's a very good, theme for this Infernal Daredevil build. Add more fire damage. Why not? And then once again, you were trying to figure out what to add here, since, at this point, if you went this route that I did, you've already got 4 of these selected. I would say if you're into Otherworldly Leap, as far as, using Enhanced Leap spell, go with that to help you, traverse better. If you care about speaking with the dead without expending a spell slot, go with Whispers of the Grave. That way you don't necessarily have to use Amulet, I Think of the Dead, or anything, or even potions to help you speak with the dead. And it saves you on the spell slot. So personally for me, since I've already had Will speak with the dead my entire playthrough on this, with the help of the Amulet, I'm just going to go Whispers of the Grave. Alright, so here we come to the gear that I'm using for this build at the current time. Keep in mind that some of this may be optional stuff that you don't necessarily have to have on. So first up, we got the headpiece here. Circlet of Hunting, Hunter's Eye. You gain a +1 d4 bonus to attack rolls against creatures marked by Hunter's Mark, True Strike, Fairy Fire, and Guiding Bolt. So reason being is I utilize this because Warlocks typically have True Strike if you decide to pick that up. And Will has True Strike, so that's going to help out a lot, as well as doing more damage. I didn't find anything yet for this, like a cloak or a cape or anything like that that benefits them. But if you decide to find something here that goes with this, by all means. Potent robe. So it has Gregorous Caster. Your cantrips deal additional damage equal to your charisma modifier. Before I go into the rest of this, just think about that. My charisma is at 18 right now, right? Because of ability improvement. And then I have Eldritch Blast, as a cantrip, basically. Just imagine, like, that just does stupid damage, that combination. So it's very, very strong with this armor to have, like, on a warlock or even a sorcerer, even a wizard. No, I take that back about wizard, because wizards don't use charisma. So this would be good for, like, your warlock, sorcerer, paladins. Possibly. Well, maybe not so much paladins. Those are, frontline tankers, but you get the idea. Well liked and well fortified. At the beginning of the wearer's turn, the robe activates, granting them temporary hit points equal to their charisma modifier. And then it gives you a +1 to your armor class. Hence why we're at AC 16. Now, typically, with your warlocks and spellcasters, you're going to keep them at a distance. You're trying not to, have them be surrounded by enemies or do melee. But with this particular warlock build, I feel like, or at least warlocks in general alone without multiclassing, warlocks, depending on how you build them, can be a sort of hybrid. They can be up front with the melee as well as spellcasting, which is why I call this Inferno Daredevil build, because you're essentially kind of being a Daredevil in a sense with certain things. Like with this piece, Daredevil Gloves, which helps with the theme of the build. Doom Lobber, the wearer gains a +1 bonus to spell attack rolls. Very useful. Daredevil Proximity, your ranged spell attacks are made as melee spell attacks when you are adjacent to a hostile creature. This effect can be toggled off. This can be toggled on and off anytime during combat when it's your warlock's turn, essentially. So you would adjust this accordingly. And this is very good because typically in a lot of situations, if a spellcaster has an enemy up in their face right next to them, they have a disadvantage on their attacks with spells, right? This switches that to where it treats it like a melee attack, and essentially you can do the same, if not, better damage output in certain situations, like you normally would if you were just attacking from afar, because it just makes your spell attacks essentially like melee attacks. Evasive Shoes. +1 acrobatics, +1 your armor class, add some more defense there. This is optional, don't have to have this on here, but I decided to put it on here for mainly the better AC, adding to AC to give a bit more defense, to my warlock here. Then as far as when it comes to the jewelry stuff here, I got Psychic Spark, Psychic Missile, shoot additional dart whenever you cast Magic Missile. So Magic Missile here, this is an extra evocation spell. Typically it's, wizards and sorcerers get this, but your warlock can with this particular item, and it does replenish on a long rest though, so be mindful. You want to use this typically when you're about to finish off an enemy or multiple enemies are very low in health and you're about to finish them off. So typically you want to use this for those situations, not like any other situation. You want to use this to help finish off enemies. Then I got him with Mage's Friend, Arcana +1, Religion +1, just to help with those like checks in the game and dialogue and other parts. And then Ring of Elemental Infusion. Elemental Infusion, when you deal acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage using a spell or cantrip, that element infuses your weapon. Since this is a fire, pyro, warlock build, it just helps a lot to add to the theme of it, as well as adding fire damage to the weapon. Now, obviously, you can use this in other builds. You don't necessarily have to use pyro, because it does help with lightning, cold, thunder as well. And then I've got Infernal Rapier as the melee weapon on my warlock. It has high spell casting. You gain a +1 bonus to spell save DC. You also get melee caster here instead of its dexterity modifier to affect it entity. Add its spellcast ability modifier to attack rolls. Once again, very useful and helpful in close-up situation with enemies to help further the sort of Daredevil aspect of this build, where not only are you going to be able to do your spellcasting as melee attacks with that gear piece, the melee one? Sorry, the gloves here, Daredevil gloves. You're also going to be able to help with your weapon melee attacks here by adding your modifier, spellcasting ability modifier to the attack rolls for this. You also get Planner Ally Cambion. Conjure Fiendish Cambion to fight alongside you. You can cast Fiendish Charm, Train Kiss, and Rays of Fire. I've not really used this personally, just because I just haven't really needed to, but that is a nice extra bonus as well too to utilize with this build. And then Fire Stroker, Burned Alive, deals additional 1 to 4 piercing damage to burning targets. So if you do have targets that are still on fire, with using one of your fire spells, then you can do more damage to it from a distance. If obviously, Warlock's only got 2 spell slots, so if you use them up and you don't want to use Eldritch Blast, you can use this to try and do some more damage that way too. So that wraps it up for my Infernal Daredevil Warlock build, level 9, late game. Very fun to utilize, guys. Hopefully this is helpful to you and informative as well. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. What type of Warlock builds are you, experimenting with and having fun with, and along with the gear. And stay tuned for more. I got more build videos. I will have the level 12 in-game version of this build and may recap, from beginning up to the level 12, from like level 1 up to level 12 in that video to showcase the full progression there of this build once I reach that, and what gear I might be using at that time if I'm not using the same gear, obviously. So, yeah. Thank you again for always watching. I appreciate all the support, guys. Like, subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any of my content. Appreciate you. See you next time.